Basically repent.
But I don't know. I don't know which one because I like them all. So I don't know.
Anyways, to finally get back on track, instead of just trying to find examples
I don't
of things
know.
So I was fine with the first person because I was like, okay, there can be one Resident Evil game that forces to be first person. Fine, I really didn't mind. But then like the people didn't really look like they kind of looked. I mean, they kind of looked weird in my eyes. So like, okay, whatever. But then it didn't really seem like they were virus. It just seemed like they were crazy.
They kind of got. It's almost like you could kind of say it's a virus because they're infected by one person.
They seemed like they seemed like crazy rednecks that live down in the middle of the woods, which are just hunting you down. And then
the question is, how in the world did a tanker get all the way in the back alley of Louisiana?
Yeah, I know, right?
That one didn't make any sense.
Where it's like how it ended up in the middle of a forest. So it's just like, oh, okay.
I did not understand that part. I definitely didn't.
And then when I was the thing that started getting to me why I didn't like 7 was because watching through it originally, I was like, where's all the Resident Evil stuff? Like, it didn't have a Resident Evil vibe at all. Like, there wasn't really any usual Resident Evil stuff.
Puzzles based more on like Silent Hill.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they had some puzzles because like Resident Evil for like 5 through 6 didn't really have puzzles.
Okay, I can't actually say that and actually mean it. No, sorry. Silent Hill puzzles are actually more difficult than Resident Evil puzzles. Sometimes.
Some of the original games had harder puzzles.
Yes.
And then Resident Evil 4 really dialed down on the puzzles.
Okay,
like, when you saw Resident Evil 4's puzzles, they're pretty easy.
When you get to
it's hard to be unbiased with Resident Evil 4 because I played it so many times that I know the puzzles already.
When you get to Homecoming,
I think the first time I did 4, I remember spending a decent amount of time on some of the puzzles because it's just like wrong combination.
When you get to Homecoming, that's when you kind of lose a lot of the puzzles of like Silent Hill's puzzles because they're brain teasers.
You should do the other Silent Hills too, just so I can see like.
You want me? I can do them sooner. Yeah, they're right there.
Just so I can see the difference between the Silent Hills and see why people liked some and not the others.
See, Silent Hill. Silent Hill Homecoming is when they finally got rid of like the hard puzzles. Like, for example, find a key in an area and just bring the key to that area, and that's kind of the puzzles they have. Or match a paint. Remember the painting and then match the team.
You know what's funny? When I didn't even know what Silent Hill was, I mean, really, I didn't really know Silent Hill after, like, before watching you. The only thing I really knew was Pyramid Head. You know, just like most people. And with Kingdom Hearts, I actually knew a few. I knew who Sora was. I knew who Roxas was, but I would always confuse them. I was like, which one's Roxas, which one's Sora? And then I think I also knew Aqua, and that's about it. And
Aqua, yeah.
And then the rest of them I didn't really know. See, and then as I started watching you play them, it all started becoming and then the Heartless. Yeah. I don't know why I always call them Darkness or Fallen.
Fallen is I can't do.
And then as you started playing it through Kingdom Hearts 1, I started getting used to calling them Heartless. And then eventually I stopped making that mistake and started calling them Heartless.
You see, when...
But because before I started getting in, like watching you play them and getting into it, I always called them Darkness or Fallen.
When you don't know the game, for example, when everyone says the Kingdom Hearts, they can't understand it. It's because they haven't played enough.
And it's so big of a franchise. That's kind of hard to get into it because there's like so many games and a lot of the games are long.
You see, you've learned them when I was playing. That's what's going. Learning them while I was playing.
And so after I watched you play a few games, I was like, okay, I'm ready to play Birth by Sleep.
You were able to understand.
And after Birth by Sleep, I was like, I'll do Fragmentary Passage, and then I did 3.
And the only reason why I helped you in Birth by Sleep is because you could. It's not like you can take the.
I was like, I don't want to do all 3 I'll do 2 of the campaigns, and
I was gonna say the grinding thing, because
because we don't have. We would have had a lot of stuff. We would have had to cut out the farming, which nobody likes to watch. I mean, there's probably some people that actually like watching farming.
Yeah. See,
because you can never say nobody or nothing or always or everybody because there's always a fraction of people or something that contradicts the statement of always.
You know what does counteract it? You can't.
So whenever somebody says always or never, you know they don't actually mean always or never or everybody. They're just basically saying
you can.
It's so close to everybody or so close to always, like 99%, or it's why people say always.
There are a few times
because of course they know there's few people, right? It's just easier, and so when they're smart ass to go like, it's not always. It's not everybody. I don't like it. It's like, okay, you're the outlier.
Easter.
Oh, treasure.
I only need two.
There wasn't a word cut.
Nope. Are those enemies dead?
So anyways, going back to Resident Evil 7 again to finally get my thought out, because we keep sidetracking.
Oh, come on. Jump up there.
I'm not gonna... So, I played the demo. I was fine with it. Game came out, watched it, started seeing things I didn't like. And then at the end, by the end of it, I was like, I really don't care. And then, the reason why... Like what Max can see what and he tried to point out too, that like if it was its own thing,
maybe
then it would have been a better game in most people's eyes, but because it was branded as Resident Evil, I mean it would have been fine as a Resident Evil title still, but it was because it was like the main thing is because it was branded as Resident Evil. I mean I'm fine with that.
I'm always wondering.
But the main thing is because it was a number title, Resident Evil 7. And it was so different. I mean, 4 was so different than the rest of the series, but like, it was. I don't know.
I always wonder why they named
like I was saying, what Max was trying to point at that one time. I mean, with at the end of Link's Awakening, he was trying to explain like if they instead of calling it Resident Evil 7, if they called it like Resident Evil Forest, because they're in the forest, or what a more creative name. Well, I mean, Resident Evil Village isn't a village, and they straight up call it Village.
They could call it Louisiana.
So I could see them calling Resident Evil 7, and if it wasn't 7, Resident Evil Forest.
They could call it Louisiana. They're in
This is Louisiana.
What I was going to say is though, why did they call Resident Evil Revelations? There's only one Revelation.
Revelations 2.
I'm just saying, because in the entire game.
I'm trying to think of what Revelations like really means and how it would tie to it.
You see, Revelation just means coming of new, or like some sort of like, I come to a realization. You understand? Like, or someone telling something in the future. Like, you find out that someone.
Well, with Revelations, they had the future technology of a floating city, and then it got toppled down.
What I don't understand is.
So I'm guessing they came to the realization that they can't do that.
But it's called Revelations, and I don't understand why it's called Revelations when there's only one revelation. The girl turned out to be evil. You know what I mean? The whole thing was there was an organization that they had no idea was a part.
And in Revelations 2 is then you find out there's another Wesker.
Wesker. That's the reason why.
And then you come to the revelation that there's more than one Wesker.
That's the reason they're called Revelation. But I don't understand why the S is there. You know what I mean? Because if they were going with the biblical revelations, it's actually just Revelation.
Well, it probably had a reason. You know they just went with it, and it kind of goes off the tongue. I think there was another game, not Resident Evil, that was called Revelations as well. I just can't think of it.
Yeah,
I think other games have used Revelations in their titles before.
Oh shit. Yeah, because they couldn't be like the Bible has Revelation. No, it's Revelation. Yeah. It's just Revelation. There's no S there.
So like Resident Evil 7, like
But I just whenever. Because if you ever hear me say Resident Evil, I always say Revelation.
It's kind of weird because it hits differently. Because imagine if Resident Evil Revelations was Resident Evil 7.
Wait, the original?
Yeah, imagine if that was Resident Evil 7, and it didn't just come out on the 3DS, like, because at first it came out on the 3DS and they recorded it to like the.
It would be a little weird because they're going back in the past.
I know.
Because whenever they make a Revelation.
Yeah, but think about it. If they had Resident Evil Revelations as 7 and 7 was 8, or right? Mm-hmm. People would have been like, why is Resident Evil 7? We're in this theoretical thing, Revelations is 7. Yeah. It's like, why is Resident Evil 7 in the past? This takes place before 5. and why this, that, and why are the controls kind of shittier, this, that.
See, I think the reason they were...
And then, like, why is there, like, this scanner gun gimmick, and then this and that, and...
I really think the reason
people would have been really critical about it, you know?
See, the reason I think they named it...
You see what I mean? So, so when I seen that, I mean, after watching 7, I think I ended up being more critical. Here's the thing, I think I was more critical of 7 because it was a number game, you know? And I think that's just like the...
See, I think
that's just the usual response with most people. When the game in a series is a number title, they judge it harder.
I think the reason they
right, because it's like, okay, that's the main story.
I would say the reason they named it 7 was because they were going into the future, continue on from what happened after. But I also think they were hoping that it would get less.
Because
less,
6 kind of split the community a little bit, right? But then with 7, I really saw the Resident Evil community split a lot, and so I think that's why they did the 2 remake, to try to bring the community back together. Because with 2 remake, it really did bring the community back together a lot, because it made it back to the roots.
But then
it was, I mean, because you had to conserve your ammo, right? Zombies were hard to kill. You didn't get bullets off of killing zombies, which everybody always questioned. Like, that's kind of weird. Why are zombies just dropping bullets? Like, he's a villager.
Oh, you mean? You
2 remake.
Okay.
It's
so,
like
7 doesn't drop.
No, I know. I'm just saying if like
Well, they went back to the roots of what they.
So I'm saying if like Resident Evil 2 remake.
Oh shit! So I hate this level.
Like the no loot, the no ammo, whatever. It went back to a game that people like already knew. So every fan, new and old. Like,
shit, I hate this area.
So like people that never played Resident Evil, when they played 2 remake, they're like, oh.
I hate this level. Wanna why? Because you have to go around, but these things keep spawning in and keep trying to eat your Pikmin. I hate this level, really.
Because with Resident Evil 2 remake, you got the puzzles. Even though there weren't too many, there's still the puzzles. I never cared for the combinations. That's why I just had to look them up. It's like combinations.
Shit!
You're losing a lot of Pikmin. No, you're only losing a few.
I lost purple though. Come on.
I was letting you focus for a second.
No, it's fine. I just gotta go.
Because you know the thing with the save combinations, it's just time. Like especially when we're recording for the channel. I mean, usually I'd probably just see the combination, and go back to it, right?
Yeah.
But because we're doing it on the channel, that's why we just looked it up, you know.
Yeah. No. Stop hitting him. Stop hitting him.
With Resident Evil 2, what made pretty much all the fans like it, right? The 2 remake was that like it was kind of back. It was like back to horror. Like, remember when we were playing it? Like we even got jump scared, like because like that zombie went.
Because we didn't expect it.
Because it was just in dark. We were just walking. All of a sudden we hear a loud zombie. I was like, what the fuck? Like you're like, dude, I just got startled.
Okay.
And then I looked up and the zombie was up there. I'm like, if the zombie was up there, how come it sounded it was right behind me? You know?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my Pikmin away.
So they don't get killed by him.
This guy also, when he smacks on the walls, he also pulls down boulders. So he's a little bit more special than he is.
So he can easily wipe your Pikmin if they're not on the way.
I don't like this guy because he also see the area move and some things in the area. He's just a I don't like him.
So the one thing that's kind of hard for me to explain like the differences between the differences between 2 remake and 7 and why I ended up liking 2 remake more than 7. Like is like the little things that make up Resident Evil for what is Resident Evil. But like when I'm not like playing them, it's kind of hard to point them out.
Do you think it would have been better if?
Oh, I remember one of them. So you know how Resident Evil always has the cheesy humor and whatnot. It's a horror game.
But it has
jump scares and whatnot, but it also has that cheesy humor and whatnot, and like the cheesy dialogue, which made it.
But they went darker this time.
Which made it Resident Evil. Like it had the cheesy humor, the weapons and everything, the lovable characters and whatnot.
But is the reason why you don't like?
But then from 6 to 7, with 7, you didn't really have any lovable characters. All the enemies were kind of just like, you either felt bad, you hated them, then you feel bad for them.
Do you think?
But there's like none of them that's just like, I mean, and then there's you, and then there's like Maya,
Mia.
Whatnot. Yeah. But then,
do you think it's more that there was no? He was too serious. Do you think that would be more?
That's another thing I was getting to, like, which is why I'm saying like it's different from the rest of the like why I said. it's the reason why like me and then like the people that don't like 7 States not Resident Evil is because like it's that's why like I say it's so like yeah it's like it's all these things combined is why like it's been hard to explain to you like why like the people don't like 7 is because like it's completely shifted tone from the rest of the series. Because I think even with 6 there's humor there and there kind of, like
yeah 6 has humor.
There's humor and then there's like cheesy humor, but then like what made people really like 4, like Resident Evil 4, why it's like the best selling is because like the new style and then also with like the difficulty thing, like if you're not dying then it's harder. But then if you keep dying, then they make it easier. They had that leveling system.
Really?
Yeah, it was a secret thing that people found out after a while. I was like, yeah, so it had like a secret difficulty. So even in professional mode, if you start dying a lot, it gets a little bit easier.
There was
So anyways, yeah. So like, so 7 didn't really have any humor, did it?
No.
Like I remember watching it. It's just like it was just all super serious. All the monsters were like all disgusting looking and whatnot. Like. Back to like Resident Evil, it was just like there's like giant snakes, giant spiders. They're creepy, but they like resembled creatures.
That's
and whatnot.
why I say they really did take from the idea.
And then they like basically got rid of herbs, which was they only had it like once or twice, right?
Yeah, the herbs were
they were used
to make the healing items.
Yeah, and it was just magic juice.
You could use an herb to heal yourself, but it wouldn't heal you a lot.
Mm-hmm. And like when you combined herbs, they were herb mixtures, and all the Resident Evils, there were always herb mixtures. And red and green always equal to first aid spray. And then with like 7, it was just magic juice. It's like, wait, why couldn't you just stick with the? I mean, these are all little things. Like if it was just 1 or 2 things like that.
So I got a question.
I mean, it would be kind of petty to not like 7 if it was just like.
Oh, I got spam.
2 things. Okay,
I got spam.
Spam. I am so. I'm trying to. What voice should I do?
That's a girl.
Is that?
There's breasts.
Ah, I'm so lonely. I want a friend that will listen to my troubles. I want to meet someone like you. Contact me at Nintendo.com.
I started doing that. I was like, oh, I guess that voice works.
So
you know.
Do you? I got a question. Do you
think
you would like Resident Evil 7?
Honestly, 7 was like the only 2 problems if 7 was different, right? But like the only 2 things that were different was the magic juice.